Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Freelance Business Week Day 4. I am Kevin Bakewell, coming to you from beautiful Clearwater, Florida, and I'm pleased to be the moderator today for our next section, and I will introduce our speaker in just a few moments and bring her in studio. First of all, just a reminder that our questions are going to be handled through the chat box, so you'll need to scroll down to the bottom of your screen to see that chat box, and we do encourage you to put your questions in there or any comments you might want to share with the group as well. Also there you have an opportunity to upvote for today's speaker to let her know how much she is appreciated, which she certainly is. So please show your support that way. Also, replays will be available shortly after the live broadcast. And we ask that you just share all of those on your social media platforms, your social media channel of choice, and get the great word out about all of our presenters, but more importantly, about the importance of the freelance community. So I'm going to bring our speaker on right now. Good morning, Cammy. And we are not hearing you at the moment. Let's see. How about okay. Well, I'm not quite sure why I'm not hearing you. And it will not allow me to unmute you for some reason. It says you chose to mute yourself. There you are, I think.
Yeah, I just turned off. You have to share the other picture of me.
Oh, that one?
That one!
How's that? We had two Cammys, and I told her two Cammys are better than one. So anyway, Cammy is much more adept at StreamYard than I am. So anyway, we're glad to have you with us today, Cammy, and thank you for that. Thank you for that tip. I appreciate it very much. So let me just give a little quick introduction. Cammy Hughes is a digital strategist, a speaker, and an author who connects people and ideas. She's passionate about sharing strategies, techniques, and tools to help businesses build online communities who support their brand. Cammy is the CEO of Zoetica Media, a social media marketing agency that specializes in creating and implementing social media strategies for community-minded companies and organizations to get business results. She is the founder of Smart Social Secrets and the Houston Social Media Breakfast. She is the co-host of the Communities That Convert podcast and serves on the board of the nonprofit Civilization, a nonprofit dedicated to ending online harassment. She is the author of Cause Marketing Essentials and The Road to Success, How to Use Social Media, Win Business, and Find Influencers, and is a contributor to textbook public relations writing, form, and style. So welcome, Cammy. We're so glad to have you with us today. I had the pleasure of seeing Cammy in a presentation she did for my association, the Public Relations Society of America, and she has some great information to share that I think is going to be valuable for all of us today. So Cammy, I'm going to turn it over to you and take myself out of studio and put up your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, so much. It's awesome. Thank you, guys. I am so happy to be here today. I am also a freelancer, or started out as a freelancer. So I'm really excited to be here because I have a passion for working with freelancers, but I'll give you a little bit of context of where we're at. So you see on your screen, a couple of months back, just like you, we were just starting just right before quarantine started, or stay at home, or whatever you want to call it. We were on vacation in San Francisco with my family. And I saw this ship coming into the harbor. And this ship is important because it was the cruise ship where all of those COVID patients had been stuck for a couple of weeks, where they wouldn't let them come into shore. And we just happened to be at the bridge just as this ship was coming in. It's the best way to put it, into Oakland. And as I watched on the shore, knowing that this ship was what it was, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that things were going to change drastically in my world. I knew that this was happening and what was coming. And here's the funny part is that one of the things that we do is travel and tourism is a big part of my agency is travel and tourism. So this really hit me in a way that made me understand that I was going to have to pivot. I was going to have to understand what was going on in the world, and I was going to have to pivot what I was doing. So I know that we all are standing on that shore right now in this year, 2020, wondering like what's next and like what else can 2020 throw at us? I don't know. Tell me in the I don't know if you I can't see your comments, but tell me in your comments if that's you. Are you feeling like 2020 has like kicked our little rear, right? So it's kicked mine for sure. And definitely watching this happen, I knew that I was going to have to make a major change to make sure that my employees, that everything continued on the way it should. So that being said, I just wanted to say that I understand where you are coming from in this time. And, you know, no matter what our success has been, I would just say that, you know, standing on the shore, we are there. And so I've been very fortunate to have a business that has grown year over year since I started it in 2002, very luckily. And, you know, I've been able to take that and really leverage it into a large business and a big following on social media and some other things like that. And the reason why I'm here today is to share with you that I am a lot like you, and I have been where you've been in your shoes. So let me kind of give you, you know, this is all the accolades you see here. Really great. And by the way, you know, be sure to follow me in whatever channel makes sense for you. I'd love to talk to you there. But let me just say that it didn't start that way. Okay. So this is me way, 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 way back when I first started my business in the public library, doing a little bit of work. My husband was going to take a few photos of me so that I could get them on my website. And my then toddler son would not stay out of the picture. He kept coming in and photobombing us. Today, he is 16 years old. In fact, I just took him yesterday for his driver's test and he passed. So he is now a big boy for sure. And back then, though, I wasn't sure how I was going to juggle all of that. My career, my children. I have 3 now. He was my first. I've had 3. And I didn't really know how I was going to juggle it all as a woman who had been the director of communications for a very large trade association in Washington, D.C. I was moved all the way to San Antonio with my new husband. And I had the small child. And honestly, I knew no one. I had no contacts. I was started from zero. Okay. So I'd started from zero. I'd had a great career, but I wasn't even in the same place where I'd been before. And that spring, when we moved to San Antonio, I sat in the apartment. We rented an apartment, and I sat in the apartment, and outside of my window, this barn swallow built her nest. And she did 3 different broods of babies. And she was literally like my lifeline to like society. Every day I looked out the window and I said, you know, I don't have any friends. I don't have anything to do. I did take a little piece of business from my old workplace, and that was great because it started me out. But I was desiring greatly to have a business. I wanted to chart my own path. I knew that if I went back to corporate America, I wouldn't have as much time with my family, my growing family. I wouldn't be able to do the things I wanted to do, but I wasn't going to be a stay-at-home mom. It just isn't in my DNA. I was 32 when I got married. So I had a career and I just wanted to continue my career. So I started my business, and what happened was being alone there and doing all that, I discovered blogging. So as I started to blog, I would type up these really thoughtful, insightful posts about social media and the growing of social media, which we weren't sure at the time. Everybody was arguing whether it should be called social media or not. It really was only blogging at that point. And we would put up these blog posts and people would come around. There was like a group of people that would come around and like comment on your blog posts. Well, no one was commenting on mine. Okay. So nobody was commenting on mine. I saw other people commenting on other people's blog posts. And what I realized really quickly was that as I began to leave comments on other blogs and other people's posts and really start to get invested in other people, that was when they started getting invested in me. And that secret has stuck with me ever since. And I'm going to teach you some of that today because it still holds true, even though we're not as much blogging anymore. Some people are, and people aren't leaving comments on blog posts. What happens is that people are connecting with each other. And if you don't go to them, then you will not be able to get them to come to you. And I was able to really awesome. Oh yeah, the hurricane. Sorry, Paula. I see Paula on there. So yeah, absolutely. It's crazy right now, right? All of this stuff that's going on in the world. And I'm in Texas, I'm in Houston. So believe me, I understand hurricanes so much. Anyway, I was able to build this network of people that I'm still connected with all around the world. And it came from having interest in other people first. And I'm going to really run through that through this whole thing. But what I learned probably by accident, and now I understand completely, is that the more you give, the more that you're going to get in return. That's just the case in social media and in life, really. But in social media, especially, this is really, really important. Also for algorithm's sake, even from the technical perspective, the more you give, the more you're going to get in return. Here's a quote that I put into one of my books, how to win friends and influencers in social media. And that's really the first rule of social media, is that everything changes all the time. And what won't change is the community's desire to network. So this quote in that book, this book was 140 quotes in 140 characters. For some reason, this quote was pulled out of that book and has gone viral on the internet. I get still 2 or 3 people that post this quote every single week. And it's not because I'm like super famous or anything, right? So who am I? Like, how many of you knew me before you came into this room? Probably not many, or even knew of me. I'm not famous. I'm not amazing in any other way except for that I understand this principle. And what happens is people see this quote and they're like, yes, that's exactly right. And they take it and they put it with their own images and stuff. And they do reference me. That's why I know it's happening. But if you go and take this quote and put it on Google right now, you'll see it's like been quoted over and over and over again. And the reason is because that is the truth. People need connection. And if you can be the facilitator of that connection, you will be at the center of what happens there. And people will look to you as a thought leader in that space, also as a guide to them to get them through that. So that I just wanted to show you that, this went viral, not because I'm like some amazing, guru. It went viral because it connected with people in a way. And you never know what piece of content that you're going to create is going to connect with people in such a way that it brings, that to the forefront. So yeah, how to use social media and win business and find influencers. It was in this book. So this is a very, small quotable book that has all that in it. So yeah, crazy that went viral. Because I understand that. And really what I just said is that's really about people connecting with each other. It's all about building community. And community is the secret sauce. If you can build community around your brand on social media and off social media, you will have success. These are some of the communities I have built over time. The Houston Social Media Breakfast, I've been running for 11 years now. And it pretty much is a cohesive community. It started with 30 people and now is well over 100 people every single month, even now during Corona times when we are doing it online. We have Communities That Convert, which is our podcast. We have an online community around that. Texas Travel Talk, the one I was telling you about as I stood on the shores in San Francisco, is also a community of bloggers and high-level travel influencers in the state of Texas that go around the state of Texas and do, we were able to get them out there and do that. And that's actually a business in and of itself. And then of course, Zoetica is my company that we built a community around. And then Smart Social Secrets, which is my most recent company, which is really about online training and teaching people the things I've learned with big brands to freelancers and smaller brands out there. So that's really what I am about. And we've worked with huge brands. We started with SeaWorld in San Antonio. In San Antonio, when I moved there, that was one of my first clients. We were able to do their first social media campaign and bring in $2.5 million for that brand. And now we work for Houston Methodist Hospital System here in Houston, and we run all of their social media and do their community development. And again, many other brands, Lyft Fund, which is another micro lending platform, and many, many others. So we continue to do this with bigger brands, but I have a heart for helping you. That's the truth, because I am you. And so I want to make sure that people that want to understand like what the big brands are doing to make things work, these are the brands that really are kicking it on social media, understand this concept of community. So I'm going to start with my secrets. Are you guys ready for the secrets? Let me know. I'm going to actually make sure I have the comments on so I can see them too. I didn't push on that. So let me know if you're ready to go. And we will get started. So my first secret is that you'll never make everyone happy. That will never happen. There's no way for you to make everyone happy. And the biggest problem that I see that most brands have is that when you ask them to focus in on who they want to help online, they have a really hard time like excluding anyone, right? So if you exclude someone, you think, well, then I'm not going to be able to manage, like, I don't know. It's you feel like you won't sell enough or whatever. So what I want to talk about is this concept of really honing in on who you are here to help in this world. The journey starts with one person. So if you talk to one person through all of your social media, you will talk to many people. And it's sort of a paradox because I have a person in mind when I'm talking to the screen. Anytime I'm talking to the screen, I have this person in mind that I'm talking to. And it's a woman, and she has a company like mine that she started, and she really wants to get going. And she's got passionate about what she does, and she really, really wants to help people. That's the person that I'm trying to reach. And there's even more to it than that. She's married, she has children. I do an entire picture for myself so that I can visualize that person. Now, inside of my courses and my clients and everything else, I have men. I have other people that do not fit this demographic. But the truth is that if I'm talking to one person, then you hear me as one person, right? You hear me talking to you. And I need to do whatever I need to do to be able to visualize that, because I don't see you for real, right? I see a screen right now. I need to be able to connect with people. And the only way you connect one-on-one with people through a digital screen is by picturing talking to one person. So I know a lot of people fight against this. Like, I have several audiences and I do this and I do that. And that's fine. But my point is that when you are talking, like through your text, through your video, through whatever you do, you have to have that personal one-on-one kind of thing happening, or people will not be connected to you. They'll just see it as an ad, truly. And guess what? What that means is that, yes, you are going to repel some people and you're going to attract others. So there may be people that are totally repelled by your style. I know that I've gotten some emails and things like that, and I just didn't like the style of the person. They were slangy and kind of slippery, and I'm a little bit more put together. And I was like, this isn't really for me. And I'll unsubscribe, and that's fine, because that person needs to find their tribe. And guess what? There's like millions of people in the world. So you don't need to attract everyone. You need to attract a group of people that are very specific for you. And I'll go into that in just a second too. I've got a plan for you for that too. But you will repel people, and it's okay. You want to repel people. You want to repel the people that aren't the right fit for your brand. And you want to attract the ones that are. You want to bring in the ones closer to you that are the right persons for your brands. Okay, so secret number 2. So you want to go small to go big. So going small to go big. And here's the biggest problem that people have. They have their, they want to have like 10,000 followers on Instagram. So I get this a lot. Like, how do I get 10,000 followers on Instagram so that I can swipe up and have people go on to my Instagram, right? Or go to my link. Because on Instagram, you can't link to anything except for in your bio, unless you have this 10,000 followers. And then in your stories, you can tell them to swipe up and it'll take them to your website. Here's the thing. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can buy an ad for a swipe up if you need it. Like, if you need something to swipe up, buy an ad. Most people won't swipe up anyway in your stories. They're in their experience on stories. Don't worry about it. What you want to worry about is building a small but mighty tribe that is loyal to you. That's what you want to do. So let me kind of run into that a little bit. This guy is Kevin Kelly. He was the founder of Wired Magazine. He came up with this idea way, way back in, I think it was 2008. I mean, it was a long time ago. And a lot of people now, take it for their own. I always give credit. So he came out with this in 2008, and he talked about the concept of 1,000 true fans. And the idea is that you don't even need 1,000 if you don't want, but if you don't need it, but it depends on the cost of your thing. So like say whatever you sell costs $200 and 1,000 people buy it, and they buy anything that you put out for $200, those 1,000 people. So say it's a yearly fee or something like that. That gives you $200,000 a year. So you need to do the math on what you're selling and figure out how many people you need in order to be profitable at that price, right? So I'm just showing you my simple math here because most people, selling a $200 thing sounds kind of easy. So all you need is 1,000 people to buy that $200 thing to get $200,000. And that's a pretty good living for most entrepreneurs, small freelancers especially. That's a pretty good living. Now, if you want more than that, I totally get it. You may want to have some high ticket things, some low ticket things, but really taking this concept to heart. You don't need 10,000 people. You don't. You need this 1,000 true fans. Now, not everybody's going to buy from you. So you're going to have to figure out how many you need overall in order to get that amount that you personally need for your business. But the point is that I want you to get out of the thinking of big and go to that small thinking, which means how do you serve so much this small group of people that they are super loyal to you and they want to buy whatever you sell? Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if you guys get that concept, because I think it's a really critical one to understand, especially in social media and selling. So one of the ways that I do this is I've put together this method called the 2x2 plan. And way back when I was blogging in my apartment and nobody was paying attention to me, I put together a plan at that time where I went and I commented on 2 blog posts per day. And I left really, really powerful comments and connected with those bloggers, or I shared their things as well. And so that's really what I want to teach you today is this 2x2 method that I've now condensed to and brought forward into this, into 2020, that it actually works now. And I just put about 60 people through Smart Social Secrets, which is my online course. And every one of them had major results if they did this. So if you do this, I promise you, you will have major, major results. Does that sound good? Awesome. Okay, good. So here is how that works. You're going to want to have put 15 minutes on your clock. You see, I put a little 15-minute timer up here in the corner. I won't talk for 15 minutes on this slide, but you want to put on a 15-minute timer and you want to go to the social media channel of your choice, the one that you're going to invest in, right? The one that you're going to put there. So you want to go to your social media channel and you want to do this. You want to have 2 conversations per day and you want to do 2 replies or comments per day. So what I mean by that is you want to initiate a conversation, meaning you post, right? But you think of it instead of posting as a conversation. I don't want you to think of posting as, selling something or promoting something. Think of it as a conversation. You can do promotional posts, don't get me wrong, but that is not part of the 2x2. You need to do at least 1 of these per day, which is initiating a conversation. So you want to ask a question or, tag a group of people around a certain idea, not out of context. Okay. So if you tag people, make sure you're talking to them directly. Okay. So don't spam them, but definitely initiate a conversation, maybe tag a few people and say, hey, I was wondering what you thought about this. Maybe in the comments, you can ask them. And you want to draw people to that. And it can be a poll. I mean, a lot of the social media channels, most of them have the ability to add a poll, like where you ask people questions and give them choices. That's a good one to do because people will click on it. You may take somebody else's idea and expand upon it and tag them in that idea. All of those things can be done just like that. So you want to do 2 of those per day on your channels of choice. Okay. So whether it's like, Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, it doesn't matter, or Twitter. In my case, I'm big on Twitter, but it doesn't matter which one you choose. You want to make sure that you choose that and you go out and do that every single day. The second thing that you want to do during this 15 minutes that you put on your clock, you want to do 2 replies or comments per day. So what I mean by that is that you respond to somebody else's content. You read someone else's content and you respond to that content. And that will help you to start to build those relationships. The other thing you can do in addition to commenting is sharing their content with a little bit of context around it from your point of view. So you want to start building these relationships. And guess what this does? This trains the algorithm for people that actually respond to you and either on your own page or on their page. It trains the algorithm to show your content to those people. That's what it does. The algorithm is getting smarter all the time. And what it's looking for is to put things in front of people that they like, or that they're willing to comment on, or that they're willing to share. So if you can, put out shareable content, things that other people can share, like my quote, for example, that was a great example of shareable content that, people are sharing all the time and tagging back to me. That will help you to grow the number of people who see your content in any given social media platform. They all have this going on, right? All of them do. And, they all have different quirks, but, depending on which platform you want to use, but that's really the key. So should you pick one social channel and do the 2x2 every day on this? Yes. So Lisa, yes, I would do that specifically. If you don't have a team, you don't have a lot of help, I would pick your primary channel and get that controlled first. If you try to do them all at once, you're going to spread yourself too thin. You want to really get some momentum in a specific channel. And then if you get that momentum going, then you're going to be able to add another channel, maybe get some help for that over time. So yes, I always say that to most of my clients because it can be very overwhelming if you try to do them all at once, if that makes sense. Now you can have a presence in all the places and be careful not to just cross post, directly, post on Instagram and automatically it goes to Twitter, which is terrible because it leaves a link and says, go back to Instagram, which what kind of thing is that? I mean, I'm on Twitter. I want to interact with you on Twitter. So be careful of that. You can post similar things on all channels, but making sure that you actually, tailor it to each channel so that it's the right fit, if that makes sense. But really the key for this is less about the posting and more about the engagement, if that makes sense. You probably want to have a separate content strategy that I'm not going to talk about today 100%. I'll talk about it a little bit in my third secret, I think. So, but that's the key. You want to have 2 conversations per day and 2 replies or comments per day. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry, I'm threw that forward. At the end of the presentation, I'll give you a link because I do have a spreadsheet for the 2x2 that will help you set it up. So I'm happy to give that to you for free at the end. It's just a little link. So if you wait till the end, I have it on one of my last slides so you can download it. And then it also comes with 6 emails that I send you that takes you step by step through the process of how to do this. So yeah, hold on for that too. Yeah, what if, I like that. What if no one answers your conversations? Keep on doing it. Just keep on. So the key is consistency over time. And at first, they may not respond to you very much, or you may just get 1 person or 2 people or whatever. You also might want to consider doing DMs in the background to people that you are trying to connect with, especially in your own tribe. Maybe people you want to reconnect with is a good place to start. DMs also work because guess what? The algorithm knows when you DM someone too. Make sure it's not spammy, but just keep trying. Yeah, absolutely. Just keep trying. And what happens is that over time, the algorithm starts to realize, oh, she's on here every day posting. I'm going to start giving her some eyeballs. So just do it day after day after day. I just do it for 2 weeks and you're going to start getting results. Funny thing happened to me. I'll just explain this. I eat my own dog food. So I'll do this too. I'll go through spurts, where I do this regularly. I have a team that helps me. So not always do I do it, but I definitely have been doing it lately just to kind of show and prove that it works. And what happened was something unbelievable to me. I was trying to connect with people that might be interested in Smart Social Secrets, which is the online course. And what ended up happening is clients of mine that I've had forever started coming out of the woodwork and saying, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? I'm 100% sure it's because I was just more top of mind. I was more visible to them during this time, even though I wasn't connecting with them directly. Again, the algorithm was serving my content to them. Does that make sense? It's crazy how it works, guys. Just trust me, try it. If it doesn't work, hey, but just make sure you're consistent. Start with 2 weeks and see how it goes. Okay, cool. All right. So the secret number 3 is relatable content is king. We always hear content is king. Well, content is king as long as it is relatable to people. And I use relatable because, my teens all use that word. And really what that means is that people can connect with your content, that it's about them. It's not about you. It's about them. So that's really what's great about relatable content. So let me go into that just a little bit. A couple of things that you want to do is make sure that you are clear on what it is that you are about on social media. So like if one day you're talking about cooking and the next day you're talking about your widget and the next day you're talking about, something else like travel or whatever, people might get confused at what you do for a living. I don't know how many of you have a hard time telling your mother what you do for a living. Raise your hand if you do. I think some people do. I know I did. For a long time, I do public relations. What does that mean? My grandfather kept telling me, when he was alive, he goes, well, I guess you're a lobbyist. I'm like, I'm not a lobbyist. I'm a public relations practitioner. I help people to understand manufactured housing is what I did. And so he's like, so you're a lobbyist. I'm like, I'm not anyway. So if you have trouble, that's really what we want to not do here. We want to make sure that we're clear about what we do so that people can connect with us and buy stuff from us. That's number 1. But number 2, even refer you. Like, how would your friends refer you in what you do? Is that clear? Is that super clear? So what you want to do is have one thing that you're talking about overall, and then inside of that have what I call content buckets. And what I mean by content buckets is that, you may be talking about gardening, but here in this case, we do raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. So what are the things that fall underneath your main content area that relate back to it that you can then diversify through? So your diversity should come through that, especially if you're on a business page. Okay. If you're on your personal page, it's kind of a different story, but even there, it's good for people to understand what you actually do, right? Yeah. Public relations, newspaper article. Gosh. Yeah. So equals news. Actually, public relations equals lobbying, or public relations equals publicity. Yeah. Getting press. And that's not what I did. I mean, I was a spokesperson, so I did a little of that. It was confusing for my family. So what we want to do is we want to be clear. And so if you have like any kind of background in search engine optimization, if somebody's in the crowd that knows SEO, you're going to recognize what I'm doing here, because in SEO, what they tell you to do is to have like a main piece of content that you write about all the time, that you have on your blog post or on your website, that have keywords around that. And the keywords are your content buckets, in the sense that, you are a expert in XYZ and your specialties are these buckets. So that's the key. You don't want to have too many buckets either. You want like 3 to 5 buckets, maybe 7. That's getting up there. But like, what are the things underneath your bucket? So for me, I'll show you what mine are in just a minute. But understanding this structural way of doing things will help you also to spin out just tons of content, because you can quickly think about, how many things can I write about raspberries? How to grow raspberries, how to get the most luscious raspberries, how to deal with pests on raspberries, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with blueberries, same thing with strawberries. And then people will know, oh, you're a fruit farmer. I don't know. I'm just making this up, right? So, but the idea is that you have like a cohesive body of work that you've done in social media, on your blog, on your website, that all comes together to make people understand exactly what you do. So that's relatable. And why that makes it relatable for people is because you understand your audience and you know what their problems are. And so you are solving their problems one after another after another. So here are my buckets for Smart Social Secrets. I just wanted to kind of give you an actual example so that I'm very close to, so I can understand it. But for years, I did all of these different projects for people, and they'd say, what is your process? And I'd be like, well, my process is to, come in here and give you a custom solution. Well, that worked for a certain period, but they were confused sometimes about exactly all of the things that I did. So I knew that I was being asked a lot to speak about how to get a social media strategy. So that became the clarity bucket. So I talk about social media. I talk about social media and how to do that for your business. So my job and what we do at Zoetica is we help businesses to build community around their social media so that they can have customers that are loyal to them, right? So that's our whole thing. But, there's a clarity bucket, which is really about that strategy. So our bucket under that is like, how do you get that social media strategy that's going to work for your brand specifically and meet the needs of the customers that you want to reach? Then we move into connect, which is, I think, the most important part of the things that we do, which is really about finding and activating what I call your ICM, which is your ideal community member. So who is that ideal community member? The people that you want to be a part of your community. Remember that one person, but in a bigger sense, but that idea of that connect. And so I have a lot of ways for you to connect with that community. One of them is the 2x2. I do some others in the course, but that 2x2 is really critical. I mean, it's one of the best ways to do that. And then create comes next. And by the way, that's the place where most brands fall down, where you can absolutely take over from them because you're able to go one by one and connect with people. And they tend to just stay on their pages. Like the likelihood of like Whataburger, like jumping off of their Facebook page onto some of the other Facebook page and commenting is very low. But think about the brands that are willing to do that. What would happen? People would be like, wow. And they'd go back to that brand. So just remember that this connection piece is like probably the linchpin for the entire thing. And then create the content. We're talking about that now. That's really creating content that attracts your ICM. And the reason why you know what content attracts them is because you've been talking to them. You've been talking to them in the connect section. You've been talking to them. You hear what their problems are. You're hanging out in the Facebook groups where they're talking about how do you do this? How do you do that? You're listening. Like that is so important, right? And then you're able to create the content. This is where you set up your content buckets. You start to make people understand exactly who you are and what you do. And then you finally go to calibrate, which is measurement. This is another area where a lot of people would ask me to speak a lot. And in early days was, how do you measure social media? Well, that's definitely going to be really important because you're going to start getting results. But here's the thing. Most people like, how many fans do you have? How many people are following you? These do not matter that much. For solos, do we connect as individuals or under our company name and identity? Jessica, this is such a great question, and it really depends on what you want to do with your business. Are you building a personal brand business? Are you building a business that you want to sell someday that somebody else could take, and you want to build the assets for them to take with them? I've kind of straddled the line, and I ended up on like my personal brand in large part. So it's just the way I did it. I have you can always build your personal brand and then build your team and then build your company brand name too. So that may be another way to go. So it depends on what you want to do with your specific business. But I would say, think about that. Think about what your end goal is. And that's really what the calibrate is about too, by the way, is really that understanding. The calibrate is the measurement, but it's also understanding, where do you want to end up? Why are you doing social media? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? What is your big goal? And how is social media going to help you get there? It's only a piece of the puzzle, right? It's a piece of the marketing puzzle. It's not the whole pie. So I would say that you want to think about where you want to go and then build everything else to get you there, right? So that's the calibrate. Measure your results and make adjustments. And that's really important, is understanding that you will continually have to make adjustments to your plan. So that's why it goes back to clarity. That's why this is a circle, right? Because it is a virtuous circle. You plan, then you connect and you find out if your plan actually makes sense. And then you create the content that makes sense for the people after you hear what they say. And then you calibrate and see if it's working. And then you do it again and again and again. So that's how it works. Yep. All right. Let me go to the next one. This is our last secret, guys. I'm like running through this. What time is it? How much time do I have left? Okay, we have time. I want to have enough time for questions and conversation. The last one is really about the numbers, and numbers aren't scary. Ha. I always say that to the public relations groups that I talk to, because we went into public relations because we didn't have to take too many math classes in college. That's not 100% true, but it is kind of true. You don't, some people are afraid of the math. Hopefully there's a lot of mathematicians in this audience. Raise your hand if you're like great at math. Let me know, because I want to know you. I have learned to really be okay with math, to really be okay with looking at the results that I'm getting so that I can make informed and data-driven decisions. And so I would hope that you would do the same. And so let me kind of go through, numbers aren't scary. And this is you're going to probably have to, zoom out in the next one, but there you go. Yeah, good. So here's what I'm going to say. I have a 5A metrics framework that I came up with years ago to help me understand how it works. But really, at the end of the day, you need the activity that you do. So you can measure your activity, like how many posts did you put out there? How many videos were the videos better? All those activities that you do. You need activity to get what I call attention. And those attention metrics are things like how many people are following you, and etc. And then that will bring you to what's more important in my mind is really about awareness. When people are aware of you, that's when people are talking with you. This is the connect stage, right? So if you can get to the connect stage and then measure, how is your connection doing? What percentage of people are connecting with you overall versus the people who saw the post? What is your connection? So that is going to bring your awareness, which then cultivates, which is really the next awesome step, which is attitudes. And that's when people are talking about you. And we hope it's going to be positive, right? So positive, positive, positive. But when people are talking about you, you're able to then see how you're growing. So that means that people are doing word of mouth. They're sharing you. So that cultivates attitudes. And then, by the way, from awareness and attitudes comes action, right? And the people generally don't take action when you first get their attention. Like if I tried to sell you something today, yeah, most people, I think they've said like 3% of all people are willing to buy what you have to offer immediately out of any given group of people. So, and it would have to be large. If there's only 3 people, what's 3% of that? Nothing. So I'm just going to say that generally speaking, selling something to people like on the first discussion doesn't work that well unless you've set that up and you've got a really, really strong cold traffic kind of thing going on with advertisements and a bunch of other things that I don't need to go into today. But the bottom line is that only about 3% of people are ready to buy from you immediately. And so because of that, you want to, and you might want to bring me back up again, because of that, you want to make sure, I just want to get this across. You want to make sure that you have a warm-up sequence for the people that you are helping, the people that you want to help. You do not want to make your first contact with them a sales pitch. You do not. And it happens on LinkedIn a lot. That's why I'm kind of really like emphasizing it. People will connect with you and they'll immediately send you a sales pitch. And unless you're part of that 3% of people that are really receptive to that sales pitch right that second, you are going to basically turn off a ton of people. Now you do want to, I said repel people, but this is not the way you repel them. You want to repel them like saying, well, this is really not for me. And then it doesn't waste your time, right? So just, yeah, I'm sure none of you here would ever do that because I'm sure you're here, you're amazing, but I just want to make sure I say it. Do not make your first contact on social media a sales pitch. That's what I'm going to say. Okay. So that being said, the next thing I want to show you, which you will have to enlarge or you will not see this at all, you might want to take a screenshot of this page. I don't know if are you guys sharing the slides with everyone or I don't know. Anyway, you may want to take a screenshot of this page because this is basically something that I have used forever to kind of measure the journey of my customer. And so what I did here is I'm actually showing you what I've done for Smart Social Secrets exactly and what I'm measuring for each step. So if you want to take a quick screenshot of this, but the key is that for each step, so in visibility, what I'm going to measure is different than what I'm going to measure in step 2, 3, 4, and 5 of each of these things. So this kind of matches up with the thing I just showed you on the last slide. Here, I'll go back. This kind of matches up with this. So what are your activities? You want to measure that. You definitely do want to measure your attention, like how fast are you growing and all that, but only insofar as it is a percentage against how many people take action. So how many people do you have to get in at the attention stage in order to get X number of people to take action? And the only way you can do this is to measure all the way through this. So like how many people are interacting with you through the awareness stage, like how many people are commenting, liking, sharing, and then attitudes. How many people are at mentioning you, but not necessarily talking to you? Like, you want to go check out at mention, or you want to look at this, or I love this product at mention. And what I mean by that is when people put the at sign and your name after it on any given social media network, it pulls up, it tags them, right? So how many people are tagging you? And then how many of those lead to actions? So you want to look at that all along this journey. And the journey is really, for me, is visibility content. So I do a Thursday live stream right now, every Thursday, and I talk about a social media topic. I call it Smart Social Secret Thursday, Tip Thursday. And so Tip Thursday is my visibility content. And then from that, I actually run ads. I run ads to the people who watch them, and I run ads to some cold traffic as well. Yes. And I'll talk to, Paula, that's a good one. Let me actually take this. I find that I have a core group of super fans who always like, comment, share my limited content. Tips on how I can leverage these people in a kind and authentic way to continue to build my audience. Yeah. So that's awesome. Certainly, Paula, you should be reaching out to them privately and getting to know them. And that's the connect part, right? So the more that you reward them for sharing your content, the more they'll share it. I don't know if they're really good prospects for you as far as sales. I don't know, but you might want to reward them with like, an early entry or really cheap or free, sample of that, because they're always in there with you. And then you can use them as testimonials for your product. I don't know what your product is. I don't know what you're doing, but that's what I would do. I would consistently nurture them because they are sharing your stuff and they're bringing other people with them for sure. So they're mini influencers for you. And definitely if they're coming in all the time, they may be a good fit for a sale later, depending on where you are. Like, are you very, established? Do you need to launch something new? You can definitely do special things just for them, like a Zoom just with them. That would be cool. Like that you just invited them to specifically as a group. There's a lot of cool things you can do with super fans. I love that you have them. That's cool. So going back to this, so that's really about the quick win or taste. So then you want to do your visibility content, and then you want to create, which is what we were just talking about, something that's a quick win or a taste. So like time with you in a Zoom call. I do the 2x2 connect formula, which I taught you guys a little bit today, through that email. So I get people on my email list, and then I continue to send them a lot of really great tips, and I grow them. And then yes, whenever it's time for us to launch the course, I let them know I'm launching it. Oh, and PS, one of the things that I do during this nurturing stage, which is step 3, is, just talk about all of these different buckets. So I talk about connecting, I talk about creating, I talk about clarity, and I talk about the measurement calibrate. So I keep feeding that content in, and I can start to see what people care about. And then I also want to do that next thing, which is a deeper connection, which is step 4, from the followers to customers. So I do a quick start challenge that I start before the course, and that challenge helps people to get connected to each other and to the course, and then they can kind of just decide if they want to go into the course itself. And then the customer service on the backside is really important. So once you're in Smart Social Secrets, we serve those people like crazy. My goal during those times that we have those live classes going, we do 6 weeks of live training too, in addition to the back end training that they have. We are showing up for them every single week. Like we have hot seats, we have all kinds of ways to connect with them. So I look at my team, I said, we are all about these people for the next 6 weeks. They're like one of our big clients, right? Like as a group. And so we kind of treat them that way. And we definitely go all in to make sure that they have a good experience. So at the end, they usually give us testimonials, and that's great. And then next steps is then asking your customer, like, what else do you need? Like, what else do you want from us? Do you want something new? So you're going to always be thinking about where should your customer go? So this is the customer journey. Like after they've bought your thing, do you just drop them and look for new people? Or do you continue to nurture them after? Because repeat sales are much more profitable, by the way, than having to get new sales and new sales and new sales. So having an ascension model for your products are really important too. And social media can lead you through all of these different journeys. And I have on the side, on the right side of this, which you can't see right now, but that really looks at the number of people engaging, the number of downloads, the number of people joining the group, because we have a Facebook group, email list growth. I had a very specific email targets that I'm trying to grow, testimonials, the open rate of your emails, like are people still engaged with your email, the number of participants that come to the quick start, which is that beginning piece, and then the number of course participants we have, the number of testimonials we get afterwards, and the number of people continuing the journey. We measure all of that and we make decisions based on that. So like if we're not getting enough testimonials, do we need to like tweak things in the group? Or if we aren't getting enough people into the quick start, do we need to back up the nurturing and start earlier? So a 90-day nurture cycle before each sale is really good. I know not everybody can wait that long and it depends on your product, but for like an online info product, it's probably a good time frame. For people that have clients, like one-to-one clients, you can constantly be sending them into a worksheet, like how many people filled that out, or a form to work with you, like say, to get a call with you, and maybe give them something during that call. So for example, for my testimonials, after the class is over, I give everybody a 20-minute one-on-one consultation with me to kind of plus up whatever's left. So like they've done the course, now they have a plan, and maybe they have a few more questions or one more thing they want to work on. I'll sit with them for 20 minutes. I'll do that. And at the end, I will say, hey, can you answer these 4 questions and do a testimonial for me? And they usually will. And I can get video testimonials that way. So there's a couple of things you can do depending on what your company is. I know we have a plethora and a bunch of different things here. So that is the customer journey. You may want to make it big one more time, like the whole screen, so that make sure you guys get a screenshot of that real quick. I'll give you a couple seconds to get it. And if you didn't, we can move on here in a minute. But if you don't get it, let me know anywhere and I'll send it to you. Just any of my social media, DM me, send me a carrier pigeon. I'll have my email at the end. What I want you to do now, though, is to take action. So I love action takers. Action takers get things done. So the big thing is that, I have a lot of people that have excuses for why they can't do things. But what I'm going to tell you is that if you take action, especially in social media, it's really about showing up, guys. It's more about showing up than almost anything else. Showing up and connecting, showing up and connecting. And then your content, all that other stuff has to be good, of course. But the key is connecting with people, and then they get to know you, trust you, and like you. That being said, I can probably take a few questions. Yeah, I don't know how we're going to do here, Kevin, because on that last thing that I had is the link that they need. So do you see the link?
Yes. Okay, there we go.
We might want to grab it and put it
I'll
in
put it in
somewhere. Yeah. So if you put it in the chat, then people can get it. So I'm going to give you this link. You guys can go, feel free to sign up for this. If you want to just unsign up afterwards, it's fine too. But I do send you 6 emails so you can kind of see my this is my taste that I give. Like, this is how I work with you. And so, and not just you, but anyone, but the bottom line is that you go into this mini course and then it sends you 6 emails and it takes you step by step through how to do the 2x2 with some supporting background, including a few podcast episodes I've done to help people through this. So yeah, would love to have you check it out and tell me what you think.
Great. Cammy, thank you so much. And I can attest to the value of that information. So definitely go to that link. And if you'd like, Cammy, I'd be glad to pop my email in the post in the comment box if anybody wants to email me, and I can refer them to you, get you their PowerPoint. I wasn't sure how you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
There are some speakers who are more willing than others. So I'll pop my email in there. A couple more. I know we're at 54 minutes and 3 seconds. So this has been awesome information. content. A couple of quick questions that selfishly let me ask. One is, you mentioned blogging and the importance of blogging, and that's actually, for me personally, something I'm just starting to think about getting into doing, but I got to take action. Do you have a recommended platform? I mean, there's so many platforms out there that to host your blogs, and I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things. I personally like WordPress because it's part of my website. So I just think that you should be blogging on your website. The reason why is because it's going to bring the SEO value of blogging to your actual business website. And so I personally believe that you should be blogging on your personal website or business website, not personal, unless it's a personal blog, right? Then you can blog on your personal blog. But the key is for you to build search engine optimization over time with blogging, especially. So I think that's really important. I know some people also are doing it on LinkedIn, like through the LinkedIn thing, and you can actually do little excerpts of your blogs on LinkedIn and drive people to your website that way. That's another thing you can try to do. I just like WordPress. I mean, I know a lot of people have other easier Wix, Squarespace, all these things, but I found that then later when you want to move, it's like a disaster. So I just prefer WordPress because I can change my horse anytime I want. I can change the design. I can keep my whole website under it. And I don't mean WordPress, like theirs, like a self-hosted WordPress site. So.
Great. Okay, one more question, and this is, those of us in PR do this all the time. But speaking to freelancers who are hoping to generate earned media or press coverage for their businesses or for their brands, can you speak to the effectiveness of using social media to connect with journalists and reporters?
Yes. So absolutely. And especially Twitter, and now more and more Instagram, believe it or not, is getting to be a great place to connect with reporters. I do it all the time, but the biggest thing is that you might want to do it over time, just like the 2x2. So on Twitter, especially, I put together a list of journalists on Twitter. So you can build a list on Twitter, like you can put people's names in a list, and then you can just look at the people like in the list view on Twitter. You can actually click on that list and see only their tweets. So you see only those journalist tweets, and then 2x2, go in every day and interact with a couple of them, interact with a couple of them. And then when something comes up where you're going to pitch them, they're going to remember you. So even if you send them an email, you can say, hey, this is a totally different place. I know we usually talk on Twitter, but I have this idea.
Yeah, no, great suggestion. And I had a boss that once told me, you talk about, you got to start small, little steps, and, talked about, no win is too small to celebrate. So start small and just build that momentum, and I think it'll come. So, well, we are at 57 minutes and 12 seconds, and we want to leave the next host for the next session a few minutes to just set up and do a tech check. So Cammy, I want to thank you again for your time today. Anybody that needs Cammy's presentation, I posted my email, just shoot me an email and I'll make sure that you get it. This has been wonderful information and content. And again, I hope that we'll all just take it to heart, including folks like me who've been a PR guy for my whole life, but just really starting on my own as a freelancer. And so very much appreciate your support. So thank you so much, Cammy. And we look forward to maybe having you again next year.
Love it. I love it. I thank you for inviting me so much, Kevin, because it's such a great thing. I'm so passionate about this audience and just really helping people that are starting their business or like getting it off the ground, since I've been doing this for so many years. And P.S. also, if you did sign up for the 2x2, you can just, when you get your first email from me, you can just hit reply, because it comes into my inbox and I answer all those emails. So you can also ask me for the presentation there if you want. Either way, Kevin or me, however you want.
Thanks, Cammy. Appreciate it very much. Well, again, thanks everybody for tuning in today. We had at least 200 of you, I believe, online.
Wow!
Presentation.
Yay.
We're excited
Awesome.
about that. Remember to just stay online, and we've got another full day and a half of content. So hang in there with Freelance Business Week. Share this presentation, comment, put it out there on your social networks. Great content to share with those on your network. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you joining us. Have a great rest of the day at Freelance Business Week.
Bye, everyone.